everyone to a very special episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. We're here in our first live interview with the cast of Expiration Date. So I'm going to introduce them one by one. We have our live little studio audience with us, which I'm very excited about. So let's start with the woman on my left. So we have an Australian, South African, Western Sydney actor, singer, theatre maker and choreographer who grew up on Darawal country. Her debut play, Expiration Date, premiered at the Adelaide Fringe in 2023. Other recent works include Camp, Where Shall We Meet and Tiny Universe, most recently directing work for Teen Angst, an original musical with Lucy Heffernan and Shopfront Arts Co-op 2022 Senior Ensemble. It is Lana Filies. Welcome! Welcome. Next up, we have a performer and writer who started performing at the age of 6, performed in numerous shows across the Illawarra, including Short and Sweet Illawarra and Reuben Guthrie. Debuted his one-man show as part of a Shopfront Co-op Arts Lab in 2023, which I had the pleasure of seeing. And he's worked with Eden Gorge Theatre Company in their outdoor theatrical experiences. It's Flynn Maplebeck. Yay! Welcome! And then, swiftly on, we have a director, a writer, and a performer, recently written and directed The Infinity Mirror for Shopfront's Arts Lab and Fledgling as part of Maragon X. Facilitated workshops for young people with Shopfront, has a passion for providing young people with the tools to use their own voices. You were our first Artist of the Month at Theatre Thoughts. It's Lily Hayman! And last but not least, we have a production manager and theatre maker who has been the operations manager at Shopfront's Art Co-op since 2020. Production credits include A Practical Guide to Self-Defence with the National Theatre of Parramatta and Fledgling at KXT in 2022. And I haven't told you, but she is our next Artist of the Month at Theatre Thoughts. It's Tyler Fitzpatrick.
Some people pretend she's not, but she is.
Welcome. How did the show go this afternoon? Or tonight, I should say.
Yeah, it was a sad one.
Oh, was it?
It was very good.
I had a little tear.
Did you?
I did. I had a little tear running down my face. I was like, I felt that.
In character?
Yeah, in character.
In character.
And in life, but mostly the character. But yeah, it was nice. I think the adrenaline for the first week has well and truly worn off.
Yeah.
And now we're like, oh, yeah.
Well, I had the pleasure of seeing the show on Saturday for your opening night, and it was great. It was very topical. Your acting was great as well. I think you've worked very well on stage together. You had a real natural presence as well. So congratulations on debuting it at Meraki.
Oh, thank you.
So let's talk about you.
Okay.
First of all, okay? So, Expiration Date, you wrote it. Mm-hmm. It's your first play.
It is.
Where did it start?
In kind of two places. So we were trapped in lockdown, as we all were, and I had this insane dream that I was trapped in an elevator with my ex, and I was being pressed with all of these questions of like, why don't you want to be a parent, or why don't you want to be this woman that everybody expects you to be? Because like my whole life I've been told like I'm so maternal, or I'm really great with kids, or blah blah blah, but I completely reject that. No offense, kids.
Okay.
No offense. And so then I had this dream, and I woke up and I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. Wrote in my journal, and then forced this one to come on walks with me in lockdown, and I was like, I just don't want that life. And then we just chatted about how different it was and how much Flynn does want that life. And I was like, insane. So then we just recorded these conversations on my phone, and then one day I turned to Flynn and I was like, oh, this is something, isn't it? and then the play began. I just transcribed all of our conversations, and that's how we started making the show.
That's incredible. I really kind of envy that sort of brain. I really wish that I could write something like that, but that's like, it's incredible.
Oh, thanks. You definitely could.
But it's also very topical, like I said, because obviously it came from the Roe vs. Wade overturning in America, which is extremely, prevalent and controversial as well.
It overturned on the day that we previewed the show for the first time to people, and I remember turning to these guys and I was like, as if this is happening.
No way.
Right now, like today, as if this is happening, and then that room just felt so. I don't know how would you describe it? Like
just real, I guess, would be the thing. It's the reality of the show it really seeped into, like, the connection between what was happening in reality and now the fiction of the show has really became one.
Melded. It was crazy.
Right. Okay.
Crazy.
And speaking of, and you two, Purple Tape Productions. So it's just, am I correct? It is just you two who are the...
It's just us. We do everything.
Oops.
So, for example, in this show, we did the set, the lights. I directed it. Tyler production managed it. We produced it, and it came through our pipeline. So we all went to uni together. We all went to UOW. Woo! And even Justin.
I did out on Saturday.
So UOW represent. But yeah, we kind of realised that we can do all of it ourselves, and it's way better. Even though it does stress us out sometimes, I think we actually work really well that way because we just get each other. So it just makes it nice and easy. No. I do the talking.
Well, before I steal everyone's questions, I want to open up to room. If anyone has a question they want to ask before I keep chatting away, if anyone's got a question, feel free to... We'll do it like school. Pop your hand up and I'll come over to you. Oh, excellent. I'm coming over with the
Bless
mic.
you, Tom Crotty.
You don't have to say your name if you don't want to. You can just ask a question.
Hi, my name's Tom. I'm from Darlinghurst.
Hi, Tom.
I just had a quick question for Lily Hayman.
Oh, God.
Okay, sure. I've never held one of these before. Congratulations on the show. It was great. Well done.
Thank you.
When I first saw that there was a show set in an elevator, I got a bit claustrophobic because as an audience member, I go, how does that work? How do I I was interested in how I was going to be engaged in a show that's just set in this 4x4 place. I was. Thank you. It was great. But my question is, for actually anybody can answer this, but as a director, Lily, I was wondering, how did you meet that challenge, and what was that like in the rehearsal room, being like, cool, we've got this one space, we can't leave it, that's the premise of the show. How do we keep this engaging?
Yes. I actually have to credit these two a lot because I actually came on quite late in the show. So they already had kind of the bare bones of what you saw tonight ready to go when they asked me to direct it. So as we said, we did a kind of a development showing in May of last year, which is when Roe v. Wade was overturned. And I was just the producer that provided the space for the development to happen, and kind of came in at the end and got to see it. And Lana kind of asked me at the end of that if I would like to direct it moving forward, and I said yes. And they'd done a lot of that energetic work themselves, and I think that's because this play comes from them, so a lot of the energy of the work is theirs. So I didn't have to do heaps of work about like getting that right. But then when I came in, I think it was just about being that person outside of the elevator who could help make the picture work. So it could be like, okay, like, yeah, it's great that you're talking to each other in this bit, but this is really important and you're facing the back. So turn around. So a lot. Yeah, I was like, yep, open your eyes, please. Like these were some of the really early directions that I took with it. But then I really want to say that after Adelaide, actually, I think we learnt a lot from Adelaide because we had no set, we had no lights. It was a piece of tape on the ground and these two acting. And there was a few people who saw it in Adelaide who've seen it up here. And like, definitely, I think it's come into its own here with all those things and a bit of new writing. But I think we learnt a lot from that we could hold the energy of that work when these two were on and when they were with each other. You could just hold the energy. And so that was great for me as a director because my usual style is to duck in and out of moments and like have all this movement, and like most of my shows have puppets in them and like la 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 la. I'm a big theatrical kind of director. So coming down to doing this was was really exciting because I was like, I can do that. I can do this too. It was really nice. So I'm really glad I got to have that challenge and play with it with two people that I'm very good friends with as well. I think that helped.
Yeah. I was going to say as well that with the showing, one of my biggest concerns going into it, because it was just a loose audience, I was like, can you have two people in an elevator make that work? Is that just, visually going to hold up? And then that was kind of my first question to everyone that saw it after. I was like, did you find it boring? They're like, no, we wanted it longer. And that was like one of the main concerns for us because it was only, I think, 35 minutes or something like that a year ago, yeah. And then they said, no, make it longer, which was a very weird...
And they said, we want to be with you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, We're happy with you. Yeah, so yeah.
Let's spend more time together. Yeah.
Does anyone have any other questions before I run back? You run at the back.
Ooh. Michael.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Michael. This is my partner, by the way.
Hello. Yeah, this question is for Lana, which is also my partner. You said in the lovely intro to your bio as well that the conception of this idea came about in lockdown. Yeah. And I wonder if you, with the realization of you being in an elevator stuck, also kind of connects with you being in isolation. And if you weren't in a lockdown, how would you conceptualize this show as a piece, whereas you wouldn't be stuck in a lockdown?
It's better than what's your favourite colour question.
That was coming up. I really did think you were going to ask me that. But no, that's a really good question. I think, well, I don't know. Like, it was the pressure of lockdown, I think. And I felt so... We also downsized a house. So the first lockdown, we lived in a massive house, and the second one, we moved into an apartment, just the four of us. And it felt like I was too big for the house almost. Like, I felt like anything I could do was, I was going to explode or exude out of this house, because I just had so much pent-up energy that I think that all came into my subconscious, and then even in my dreams I was trapped. And so it became like a whirlpool of terror, really. Like, it was, and I didn't think I could see the end of it. So I don't know how I would have conceptualized it. I actually don't know if it would have happened if we weren't in lockdown. I probably would have gone on to make like fairy movement dancing pieces, because that's what I do. That's my type of theatre. Like, and so this is so different, but like it was the one thing that I was so grateful for because of lockdown. Yeah. Good question.
A follow up to that: how did that translate on stage for you?